Hi students, it's Mr. Milano here. So today I'm going to be talking quickly, running through the Standard L.2, where we talk about English language conventions, which I'll read here. The standard is to demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing. So what we've done is we've broken up the things that you really want to look out for in L2 into this nice, handy way to remember, and it's just called cups. All right. So what you're looking for with cups is capital letters for C, for U, understanding, P, punctuation, S, spelling and spaces. So this is for when you're editing your work or even while you're writing, you always want to be thinking of these things in your head, okay? Capital letters, for example, names of places like Target or a city, New York City. Anytime, uh, anytime there's a name like Samuel or Miss Feener or a month or something like that, November. Also, I'm going to be going through this anytime you're at the beginning of a sentence, always capital letter. Okay. Understanding for you. Have you chosen the right word to communicate what you do? And a good question that you want to ask yourself, does it make sense? Okay, it wouldn't make sense for me to say, I wear among us, but it would make sense for me to say, or write, I play among us. Okay, does it make sense? For punctuation, okay, I read a sentence, Mr. Milano said, wow, I love writing too. Okay, that makes sense. So it's good for you for understanding, but for P, for punctuation, I don't see any punctuation in that sentence. But in the green sentence, you see the period after Mr., the comma after said, using quotation marks. Okay, commas and always ending your sentence with a period. Okay, so you're finding the correct placement of commas, periods at the end of sentences, and other places where you need them, like Mr. Milano. Okay, and then quotation marks. And then spelling and spaces for S. All right, are there spaces between all of your words? Have you spelled the word correctly? Okay, sometimes some of us speak more than one language. Are you using the correct spelling of the word in English? Okay, so we'll go over some of that. So I'm just going to go into a writing that I recently. So we're talking about destiny right now. So I've written this little paragraph about destiny, and it's from the movie and the story The Lion King. So I'm just going to read quickly, and this what I've written here is mostly correct. If you find a mistake, that's okay, or that's awesome. But I'm just going to read this to you first. Then we'll go through how to edit. Um, so you would say that you could say that this is my final draft. My destiny. They said I was destined for great things. I was to be a king. Ever since I was a child, my family made sure I was safe and that no one would hurt me. My father, Mufasa, instructed me never go to the dark areas of our kingdom. It could kill me, and it was my destiny to live and be king. I never did go. I stayed in the calm, bright parts of our kingdom until one day, Nala and I did the unthinkable. We challenged the course of destiny and traveled outside of our kingdom. Shadows upon shadows, dangerous boulders everywhere that could crush me in a heartbeat. Hungry animals watching my every move. That's when the danger came. When it was all over, my father would be dead, and I'd be an outcast from my community. All of it from one decision. My decision that changed the course of my life. Will I ever get another chance to become king? I guess I'll find out. So again, this is my final draft. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you through uh, I'm going to go back in time and I'll show you my first draft. And then we're going to edit it to get back to my final draft. All right. So here's my very first draft. All right. Before I made any changes. All right. So the first thing we're going to look out for is capital letters. All right. Remember, names, beginning of sentences, names of places. So first things first, you always want to make sure that the beginning of sentences, the very first word, has a capital letter. They said I was, right? So always begin your sentences with a capital letter. Um, since we're only talking about capital letter here, I did highlight this because you always want to, when you see the word I, it has to be capital letter. We don't, in English, when you're writing, um, the correct usage of the word I, one letter, is a capital letter always. Okay. Um, Another thing. So as you keep reading, my father Mufasa said. So Mufasa is a name. All right. So we're not going to use a lowercase letter here. We're going to change that to capital letter. Okay, if you keep reading, another instance here where you need to change the lowercase I to a uppercase capital letter I. All right, you keep reading until one day Nala and I. So another I, but again, Nala is a name. Okay, changing the N to an uppercase. Sorry, capital letter. Nala and I. Okay, and you come all the way down. Doesn't seem to be any more examples until you get to the end. Another one final, I guess, I'll. And another instance where you need to, when you say I'll, you have to use the uppercase I. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction how to look for capital letters while you're reading. Okay, you want to always be on the lookout for that. Okay, you come down to understanding. All right, choosing the right word as you write. Okay, there's two examples that I wanted to highlight in this one. Okay, ever since I was a child, my family made sure I was safe and that no one would understand me. Okay, I highlighted that because I wrote that it doesn't make sense. Would understand me. Okay, made sure I was safe and that no one would. What's a better word? The word that I was going for, no one would hurt me. So I just wanted to give this an example as you want to just make sure that your word choice matches up with what you're trying to communicate. All right, so then you keep going down here. Hungry animals watching my every play. Okay, another word choice, watching my every move. All right, so again, as you're writing, just make sure that your word choice makes sense, um, and that the word order also makes sense. All right, coming down to punctuation. Punctuation can be tricky. All right, so they said I was destined for great things. So again, always end your sentences with periods. All right? Very important as you're writing. Here's another example. I was to be a king. Period. All right? You're starting a new sentence right here. Always make sure you do that. All right? Ever since I was a child, my family. This is one of those areas where instances where you need a comma. Ever since I was a child, my family made sure. All right, there's a pause there, so make sure you're putting in commas when it's applicable and when there's a pause and a break in your writing. Okay, my father Mufasa said, "Never go into the dark areas of our kingdom." All right, this is a quote, and when you are writing and you're including dialogue or text evidence, anything that involves a direct quote of someone else, you always need to use quotation marks. Okay, Mufasa said, all right, quotation mark at the beginning, and then a quotation mark all the way at the end. Okay, always make sure you have two quotation marks at the beginning, one at the end. Okay, and if you go all the way down here, here's another example. punctuation. That's when, all right? You need an apostrophe. That is when. So you're using an apostrophe to contract that word. That's when. Okay? And one more. Will I ever get another chance to become king? I guess I'll find out. Here we have a question. How do you end a question? Not with a period, but with a question mark. Okay? So these are some things that you need to keep an eye out when you are writing, and also when you go back into your writing to edit. All right? Very important is punctuation. All right? And then finally, we have spelling and spaces. Okay? Making sure there's spaces in between all of your words and making sure that you're spelling the words correctly. They said I was destined for great things. All right, here we go. Space. All right, make sure you have the space between each individual word. And then tings. All right, it's not how you spell the word. All right, it's actually helping you right here. So that's something you can look out for, but make sure you're spelling them correctly. Here I have another example here. Kingdom. All right, make sure you're spelling your words correctly. Here's another kingdom. And then I thought that it was important to include this down here. When it was all over, my family would be dead, and I'd be an outcast from mi comunidad. All right. Sometimes the words are very similar from from one language to another. Make sure that you're spelling it correctly in English when you're writing in English. Okay, from my, and then might have to actually community. All right. It looks like mi comunidad, but it's not the same. All right. So there you have it. Go back up to my my finished product. All right. If you want to pause it and take a look at it again, this is a correct paragraph with all correct punctuation and all of the conventions for the standard L2 that we expect you to be looking out for when you're writing, because you will be graded on all of these and it's going to go into your L2 standard. Okay. Please let your teacher know if you have any questions. We're happy to help, because for some of us, even for me, it can be a very tricky thing to have to think about this too. All right. Have a great one and take care.